Hello? Yeah, I'll be right there. Hi guys, welcome to the Jersey Girl Podcast. How are you?
Hello, nice to meet you, see you. We've spent the morning with Dani and Jacey.
Yeah. So I'm so excited to get into everything today. As I said, I took a class this morning. It was really good. It was so much fun being around like other women who are just working out. We got up early this morning. The instructor Jen was amazing. In the class, my legs were shaking by the end of it.
That sounds like a successful morning.
It was. I felt so productive. I got home and I was like, oh my God, like I killed the day already, and it was only like 7 a.m. So can you guys give us a little background about yourself for our viewers and listeners and kind of give a more surface level answer to who you guys are?
So I'm Dani. Jacey's my business partner. We've been business partner for 10 years now. And we met dancing professionally with the Radio City Rockettes.
So fun.
We did the Radio City Rockettes for a combined 17 years.
Wow.
And it is still my bar trick that I can get my leg up to my ear. So, yeah, Jacey and myself, we combined our passion for dance, our love of fitness, and outburst Jane Do.
Can you guys take us back to the beginning and how the Radio City Rockettes were and like how you even got into that? Because when I was younger, I was telling her I danced for 10 years competitively. That was my Jane B. Rockette. We didn't get there, but that was one of my dreams, was to dance on that stage.
Well, Jacey and I shared a dressing room together, and everyone said, is that where Jane was, founded, and is that where it was conceptualized? And it's not. So Jacey was actually getting every fitness certification under the sun, working at every boutique studio in New York City and beyond. And I was actually selling real estate. So I had moved to Chicago with my husband, who's in advertising. And we were there for exactly 1 year. And when I moved back, I said, I cannot build my book again, right?
Yeah.
Real estate is a business based on networking. It's one that continues to build on top of itself. And so when I moved back, my husband Tyler was like, why don't you check out what Jacey's doing? I see her on the train every morning at 5 a.m. She seems like she's having fun and really enjoying it. So Jacey had simultaneously been working on a business plan to bring boutique fitness to Jersey City. Yeah. And I'll let Jacey tell her story about the business plan that she put together.
Yeah, so it was serendipitous that Dani came back from Chicago just in time for me to present my business plan to her. I saw a void in the local market.
Yeah.
I, at the time, was not envisioning what Jane Do is today. It sort of happened organically as we started to... We actually opened as the sports bar. I don't know if you knew that, but the idea was... We were piss poor, and we had to leverage the only type of boutique fitness at the time that people were privy to, which was bar.
Yeah.
But the idea behind sports and bar is exactly what Jane still does today. It's that fusion of the athlete and the dance. It's kind of like that sexy juxtaposition of every woman.
Yeah.
And what we realized at the sports bar is that what we're doing isn't as important as the community that is cultivating itself. And we were inspired to create something that felt bigger.
Yeah.
And that's where Jane Do really came from. The idea is that Jane is every woman. Do is her call to action. We're, on a mission to create the largest community of the most confident women. And we think confidence is every woman's sexiest quality.
How did you guys decide what classes you wanted for the variety? Variety, that's the word. How did you guys pick the class variety?
That's a great question. We wanted to cater to every woman or every person, we can say. We don't neglect our Jane Do's. But what's important, and something we learned from training for Rockettes, is there's nothing more powerful than cross-training.
Yeah.
If you're doing the same thing every day, you're likely not going to see as powerful a result. So you need to be constantly challenged. It has to be constantly changing, and it has to be fun. So without the variety aside, if you don't have fun in your fitness class, you're going to be consistent. And we wanted to offer classes that allowed our Janes to work out, up to 5 days a week, sometimes more. And that requires sometimes a low impact option, sometimes a high impact option. We want to cater to women who might not like the impact intensity of, call it a dance class, enter tramp instead. And we made a promise to ourselves when we reinvented the brand to stay ever evolving. Fitness changes, trends change overnight.
Yeah.
And with a name like Jane Do, as long as we're empowering women to do something they love and to use their strength outside the studio to do amazing things, then it doesn't really matter what the class types are.
Going back to the beginning, when you guys were opening the fitness boutique, what were kind of the starting steps that you had to do to kind of get the doors open?
Well, as an entrepreneur, opening your own business, you have to wear all the hats.
Yeah.
So, like we said, Jacey started with a business plan, right? And anyone that's thinking about starting their own business, a plan is literally the very first thing you need to put down to paper. You want to understand not just the name, you want to know who your audience is, you want to know your demographic, you want to know who you're catering to, you want to most importantly understand your why. Why are you doing what you're doing?
Yeah.
So part of that is picking a location, again, going after your target demographic, making sure there's enough people there to support your business model. The other thing that you have to start with is your budget. How are you going to fund this?
Yeah.
How much are you going to charge your clients? You have to ask yourself a lot of the tough questions. Your mission statement, your vision, what is your vision? And what are your short-term goals and your long-term goals? So funny story, Jacey, when she was putting her business plan together, picked a point because we had to figure out what our insurance was going to cost.
Yeah.
And insurance, in order to get an insurance estimate, they said pick a location. And she actually dropped a pin on the exact location where we opened our first studio in Jersey City 10 years ago, almost to the day. We opened, February 15th, 10 years ago. 10 years ago. So she put a pin on it, and 6 weeks later, we actually both quit our jobs and started the build out. So, when you're starting out, you're doing a lot of things yourself. Painting and looking at paint swatches and what kind of floors, lighting, what's the overall experience? Because your, clients, customers that are coming through the door are going to be felt on every single sense. What do they see? What are they going to smell? What are they going to touch? And what ended up happening is we had some structural issues on the third floor. We were on the third floor. It's a walk-up. It's such a cool, New York City, old school dance studio vibe. And the ceiling had some structural issues. It was literally crumbling. So here we are thinking, in our plan, a good plan is always flexible, that we were going to be, open on a certain day. And it ended up taking us 6 months longer to open our doors, which ended up being a blessing in disguise. Yeah. We ended up partnering with another Rockette who had a local dance studio there for kids. Nice. She did not have classes in the morning during the day. And so we utilized her space to build a client base. So we were hosting pop-ups at her studio. By the time we opened, we had a full client base and a community.
Wow. When you guys were creating the community, did you have any little things that you would do or think of just to try to get people coming back through the door and not just leaving and taking the class and then be like, oh, I'll do it in a couple months?
Yeah, we certainly have thought a lot about what it is that helps cultivate community.
Yeah.
I think what's been really incredible to see is for what we could define as what it takes is people have to be like-minded in the sense that they care about showing up for themselves.
Yeah.
But also fostering a inclusive environment, which seems almost brainless. Well, everything's inclusive, but it's not. Yeah. People have to feel welcome regardless of age, size, fitness level. So I think, one really important thing is to think about how can you make everybody feel like you're part of something bigger. And one thing we've done to reinforce our community is to focus on what Jane Do stands for. It's not about losing weight or gaining, well, sometimes it is about gaining muscle, but it's not about inches or pounds, let's say. Yeah. It's about how are women for Jane dudes use their strength outside the studio to do incredible things. And when you're built on that foundation, the community sort of feels comfortable enough to foster itself. Yes, it takes, you can reinforce it with community events, which we do all the time. At least monthly in-studio events for our members. We've cultivated our membership options to specifically nurture a little more deeply those members who are our loyal members and who are holding each other accountable.
Yeah.
But yeah, through community events, partnerships.
How do you guys hold each other accountable and like this? Because obviously it's kind of hard to work together, and you guys have 4 or 5 studios now.
Like, how many do we have now? 4. We had more pre-COVID, and then I'm like, how many do we have?
Yes. How do you guys keep your friendship still there, but also making sure you stay in the professional lane too and hold each other accountable?
We've, since the inception, always said that we are friends first.
Yeah.
And lucky for us, her strengths are my weaknesses, and vice versa. And I think that's really important in a business partnership. And it's really nice in a friendship. We are polar opposites. As you can see right now, she's wearing bright pink, and I'm just like always in black. And I think just naturally we fell into our roles. Yeah, we very much like and dislike very different things. And we still have a shared inbox for administrative stuff, and by the end of the day, it's cleared out, and we haven't even communicated about who is doing what. I mean, we do have very clearly defined roles across our entire, ecosystem, but we've kind of naturally fallen into it.
Since opening, what's been the craziest thing that you've learned as part of being a business owner when you wouldn't even think of when you first started?
That's a great question. You have one? I'll let you answer it. Go ahead, you answer it.
And then you can probably speak to it, but I think the most profound thing to me is to realize just how resilient we are.
Yeah.
We are, we're so scrappy, and, we built this on a beer budget. My dad tells us that we have the biggest balls he's ever seen. I think that, we never feel like we're really taking a risk because we research everything we do.
Yeah.
But going back to the resilience, COVID really put a wrench in our plans. But to reinforce Danny's point from earlier, every business plan is flexible. And because we were small, and because we had such a great understanding of our community, we were able to pivot very quickly.
Yeah.
It was very expensive because we had many brick and mortar locations at the time, and many landlords and tenants know that you're still responsible for the overhead, even if you're not able to utilize the space. And in fitness, being social distance, even when the world did open up, there weren't enough people in the room to keep the lights on. So that was really scary. But being resilient and staying laser focused on our mission helped us get to where we are today, and we're continuing to build. And we have this franchise opportunity, so we continue to empower women everywhere. So I think resilience.
That's a really good answer. I think, like Jacey was saying, is committing to a plan and setting strong goals, even, your pie in the sky 10-year goal. I think for us, we adopted what we refer to as the Jade and Dude playbook. You were asking about accountability earlier.
Yeah.
And, for us, setting, like I said earlier, those short-term, those long-term goals, sometimes we've set some pretty high goals for ourselves. Yeah. And, at the end of the last Q3, last year, Q4, we knocked them out of the park.
Yeah.
So I think continuing to grow and, so I would agree with Jacey, resilience, but also just that forward momentum with growth, that being able to actually achieve those goals that we put down on paper. Yeah, it kind of is a little jaw dropping. You look around and you hear the stories of, these women that are doing incredible things. They are finding their strength inside the studio. They are crossing the finish line. They are asking for raises. They are rocking that sexy lingerie. All of those things, that doesn't happen overnight. That's built over time. And it's the work that they're doing outside.
Yeah. Just going to a different topic and segueing now. What are your own fitness journeys and routines? How have they evolved since being a Rockette to now? It's been a couple of years now.
What's so great about Jane Do is we get to combine our passion with fitness, so it never really feels like you're quote unquote working out. I would say I own a fitness studio. I hate working out. I hate it. If you take any of my classes, as soon as you start doing lower body, you'll see me bounce up and I start walking around. But when you are able to take something that you love, you show up every single day. Because our classes are going to be different. Every single class that you take, it's going to prevent that boredom. So you're constantly challenging yourselves, and as an instructor, it feeds your soul to get back up in the center stage, like you were when you were a Rockette.
Yeah. Do you guys have any stories of women whose confidence truly transformed since they started taking your classes, or like any interesting like woman empowerment stories?
I mean, too many. We've watched so many women transform in so many different ways. Like Dani was just saying, sometimes it's just gaining the courage from the support and from the confidence they've gained to like ask for a raise. We've had so many women ask for a raise. So many women run marathons. So many women go from private training into a group class because they were so scared and intimidated before. Like there's some, major leaps and minor leaps, but to each individual, those baby steps are within themselves really instrumental. Keep it going.
And it's not just the Janes. It's also our fitness instructors. Our instructors are incredible. It is so fulfilling to watch someone start a training program and then where they are when they end the program, but where they are 6 months after, a year after. I mean, some people come in, they're like, I can never do that. And then they do. I just had someone who took a class for the first time, like Jacey was saying, people can be intimidated by dance. It ends up being their favorite class. And Jane just left the other day with tears in her eyes. She, completed 10 classes. She said, I have never done 10 classes consistently at any studio before. That's a huge achievement.
Yeah. So do you think that like the community you built and the instructors is what keeps you going every day? You have those hard days and you're like, I don't know if I can do this anymore. If like this is what keeps you going.
Well, yeah, like we said, it's a combination of everything. It's a fun environment. It's a supportive environment. You're going because you're not just going for yourself, right? You're showing up for the community. And you're showing up to see your friends. It's like a 50-minute party. Sometimes we have to tell everyone shh before we start class because it's a little social hour, right? You're coming here for the workouts, but you really are staying for the community.
Were you ever intimidated to get back up and like teach in front of people, or is that something that kind of like you were on stage for like combined 15 years, so now you're like, like it's,
When I first started, I was very scared. It's every instructor that gets up there to teach is giving a 50-minute presentation. And for myself, someone who is type A perfectionist, wants to get it right, I had a script that I memorized. I knew exactly when the beats, I knew when that beat was going to drop. I knew when the song was going to change. I knew when it was going to end. And I remember my first class, a very good friend of ours, shout out to Meg, and she came up to me and she was like, Dani, you're going to do such a good job. I'm so excited to take your first class. It's going to be so exciting. And I said, Meg, have you ever given a presentation? She said, yes. I said, what's the longest presentation you've ever given? She said, I don't know, like 2 or 3 minutes. I said, I have to give a 50-minute presentation right now. And I just need to get in the zone. I need to focus. So it is not something that happens, overnight. And anyone that is up there that makes it look easy has worked very, very hard to make it look easy. And that's across the board. Anyone that is successful has had a coach. They've put in the work. They've had the early mornings. They've had the late nights. They've made sacrifices to get where they are. So, people used to say to us, oh, you're a rocket. You're so lucky. You own your own business. You're so lucky. Luck has very little to do with the path that Jacey and I have both taken. It's been a lot of hard work because there is no substitution for it.
I think people look at women and like, if we have something like that's just lucky. Like, you're so lucky. They're not like, oh, she must have put in the work and the effort to get there. Like, I feel like if you look at a man, like, oh, he must have worked so hard to get there. But a woman is like, probably just luck.
Valid point.
Yeah. Fuck luck.
What she's gonna say.
Like, I knew it. What's it been like to have to manage a bunch of different people and, hire people and like just really, like, it's a very different role than just being, working 9 to 5. You have to actually manage people and make sure they're doing their job.
I think being in a leadership role is, required. What it means to be a leader is like taking on a lot of responsibility, and it can feel like a lot of pressure. Dani mentioned earlier about the Jane Do playbook and how we now manage the company as a whole and how we operate Jane Do proper. And I think having the visibility, the accountability, and the transparency has alleviated some of the pressure in the sense that, like, everybody knows what's going on at any given moment. Everybody knows our 10-year goal, or 3-year goal, or 1-year goal. Our mission is, blatantly clear. Our differentiators are, like, just kind of a part of us all at this point. It's a role that has to continually evolve, something that you have to practice. I'm not always great at it. It takes a lot of self-awareness, especially I am not type A. I am more creative. And so, we have very different leadership styles. And I think that's a good thing because we're constantly challenging each other. As long as at the leadership level we're aligned, which a lot of times means making sacrifices. We win some, we lose some, but ultimately we're both looking out for the greater good.
I'm like, I had a lot of things and then I lost my train of thought. No. I was actually thinking that it leads to a lot of really good dinner conversations because they're really, while we do have a playbook, like everything is so unpredictable. And you oftentimes would be like, well, I don't even know. Like, I didn't even know that needed to be in the playbook. Yeah. Like, I didn't even, some situations you just have to use your best judgment. And one of our core values is being a problem solver. Yeah. Problem solving is a characteristic that I admire the most in people. And when our team can come to us, right? Like, have you thought of 3 things that you can do to solve this before you're going to, like, escalate this up to me? Because if you're just now taking the problem and pushing it off on me, I know this doesn't have to do with leadership skills. Yeah, but keep going. This, it's like, be a leader yourself. And we try to empower everyone at this organization to be a leader themselves. And I think that, like Jacey was saying, being a good leader is, always leading through actions. And it's not just telling people what to do. We have sat in every single seat in this organization, including, we are the ones taking out the garbage. We have painted it ourselves. We are, plunging the toilets. Yeah. We are HR. We are the bookkeepers. We have done the sales process. We're teaching the classes. So we have done everything. We're not asking anyone to do anything that we wouldn't ourselves do. Yeah. And also because of that we are all on this journey together. Yeah. And that we, like Jacey said, if everyone knows what the 1-year goal is, everyone at this organization has a number or a metric or a target that they themselves, that ladders up to the bigger goal. So we're all part of this, and not just like the journey, but also the success, right? Because it's more fun to teach 2 full classes, and it's more fun to go to an event that is full and has energy. Yeah. And that stems from, from leading people and having them feel supported.
Like we were saying about the playbook, I feel like being an entrepreneur, there's not like a direct book on how to do it. Like, you have to figure it out. And there's not a business like yours. No one's ever done it before. You're doing it for the first time. So you really have to, like, lean in and, like, on each other too and figure things out together. Like you said, problem solving. It's one of the biggest traits of an entrepreneur, that and risk taking. You guys did have.
Big ball.
Yeah, exactly. I like that. What's one song that you guys always repeat in your classes? Like, what song that you tend to reuse, like one of your favorite songs to play in class?
This is a very difficult question.
What's the song right now that you like to put on your playlist?
I mean, mine is like anything 80s. So like lately, like I've been starting with Material Girl.
I love Material Girl. I love Madonna.
I mean, it's so powerful. Those first like ding, 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 ding. Like when that goes on and everyone's inhaling up, you're like, you tighten your ponytail. You just know it's going to be good.
Yeah. Like, I warmed up to Robin today, and she can always like. I know we're so different. Can't. Every time I go on Dani's playlist, I'm like, I know I'm gonna have a Pitbull, a couple 80s, maybe a rock anthem, and I'm gonna give you like some U2, some Chapel Rowan. Yeah, we're very different.
Yeah, that's what makes it good, though. You guys each have different
Rihanna. Yeah.
What are your next plans for Jane Do? Like, where would you want to see it in like a year or 5 years? Whatever you can share.
Well, we have that all very much outlined right now. Our goal is, like we said, to cultivate the largest community of the most confident women. And what makes us most confident is being entrepreneurs and owning our own business.
Yeah.
So we want to empower women to do the same. We have franchised Jane Do Studios, and now the opportunity for women to, own their own version of what we do is attainable. And we're constantly working to make it more and more attainable. So I think what was really eye-opening for us upon initial, introduction into the franchise world is, we always pictured our franchisees being our Janes.
Yeah.
And it's very expensive, and not every Jane has access to those resources. And so we're doing our best to really refine our prototypical model. Our franchise plan is much like any good business plan. We keep reinforcing that. But, a smaller footprint means less barrier to entry. And we're doing everything we can to give women the opportunity to do what we do. Because, it's been 10 years. And I wake up every morning and I absolutely love what we do. There's hard days, but I never think, oh, God, I have to go to the studio. It's always like, I can't wait to go to the studio.
Yeah, and that's a good, as I said, my motto is do what you love, like follow your passion, so that really leads to a more fulfilled and happy life.
Yeah.
If people wanted to find you, take a class, where can they find you, like Instagram handles and all of that?
You can go to janedo.com. At Jane Do, each of our studios has its own unique local news outlet. So if you're near Morristown, you can hit up our Morristown location. We're in Hoboken, New Jersey, Jersey City. We're in Charleston, South Carolina, and we could be in your neck of the woods.
Yeah, well, thank you guys so much for coming on and sharing your story. A lot of good facts, tidbits. You guys are very well spoken, and I really got a lot out of this conversation.
Yay! Thank you. Thank you for thinking of us.
Thank you.